Oh, there it is. Let's go, baby. We're there. Welcome back, everybody. Technical difficulties as usual with me, but welcome back to another episode of the Daily Rip. It's Monday. It's Christmas week. It's gonna be an interesting week in the market. Obviously, when we have a day cut out in the middle of the week, it does make things a little bit weird. And then you have this added volatility in the market with VIX actually above 15 at least. So it's making the market interesting. This morning we have decent amount of movement, kind of back and forth. Um, but yeah, I feel like the hype this week is going to turn a little bit more into crypto. Shy, I don't know about what you think about that, but I feel like stocks are kind of going to be quiet again, like it was on Thanksgiving, and people kind of turn to crypto. So maybe we get some movement there, but I don't know. Going to be a crazy week. What are you looking at?
I mean,
How you
crypto is
feeling?
one of those not laggers, but they are going through a correction. Like Ethereum's 20% off of their highs.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's like 12 or 13%. So Bitcoin's correcting and stuff. I think it's absolutely healthy because it went from 75 to 100K like in a blink of an eye. Um, so I do think that it is somewhat getting corrected slightly, but that is opportunity entering the new year because I do think if crypto is one of those industries that goes through predictable historical cyclical trends, and everything that's indicating what's going to happen next year is going to be a euphoria type return in crypto space, blow off top, following a bear market. 2026, I'm underwriting 2026 as kind of a bear market for crypto, and I think that any pullback in that space is a buy the dip because we're not even in entering the last leg of this crypto rally, and that last leg is when things get really dumb and just blow off toppy. And this could be your chance to get in that before the new year begins. So I'm gonna be watching. That's why my eyes are going to be towards crypto. It's not gonna be in the mining companies. It's not gonna be like CleanSpark, Mara, or the MSTR that people call a company, but it's not a real company. It's going to go towards actual Bitcoin, actual Ethereum, and then Robinhood, and maybe Coinbase. But I think it's going to be more Robinhood, Bitcoin, and Ethereum as my top three plays to capture this like I don't know crypto year. But also there's strategies out there that you can do to capture more alpha in the near term if you believe that crypto is going to I don't know Bitcoin's going to hit 150 or 200 next year, and that's MSTR and the 2x volume ETFs as well that captures MSTR. I'm blanking on the ticker name. Do you remember that, Jordan? The 2x leverage.
Yeah, MSTU.
MSTU is like the I don't know. I don't trade options on MSTR. The IV on those contracts are ridiculous. But MSTU is an actual 2x leverage ETF that can leverage a similar kind of outcome, in my opinion, than a MSTR call
Well, and with the
option.
way it moves, it's trust me, you're not going to be mad about trading shares on that versus
100%.
options when you realize how it trades. I mean, we've talked about this before. I've said it multiple times, but just go look at that chart to pass. I mean, now it's been I think 4 months since inception, but the first 3 months or so, or before it was even 3 months, it was already up a 10x. So the way it moves is ridiculous, right? And that it's a great trading vehicle at the end of the day. There's MSTZ as well, which is the short, right? So if you were thinking about going the other way, you can also do that. Just great trading vehicles when IV is high. You can do that with there's plenty of tickers. Coinbase, there's ConL, which is the two times leverage of Coinbase. There's plenty of ways to capture those moves. I do that all the time when we either have earnings, right? Earnings is high IV time for options, so it's tough to actually capture any good moves. Or during earnings, there's just you can't trade options in after hours, right? You can't do anything. You can't manage a position. So that's when I'll take the leverage ETFs and trade shares on those after hours. It's still risky, absolutely, still scary, but at least I can manage my position, right? I don't have to hold and pray till the morning and just hope that okay, we open up where we were at, you know what I mean, and hopefully I make some money. I can lock that money in right away. So I love that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But let's hop into the weekend rip. Just recap what happened last week. Obviously, it was a big week with FOMC and everything. But Monday, Wall Street embraced the bubble and looked for reasons why 2025 could be another record year for stocks. The Nasdaq 100 announced its new constituents, including Palantir, MicroStrategy, and Axon Enterprises, which replaced Illumina and SMCI. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people were sad about that, but I love to see that, to be honest. Yeah, and Moderna. And Tuesday, the Dow Jones notched a 9-day losing streak. That thing is just was just getting beat up. That was really nasty on the charts. So just seeing that continued weakness there. Wednesday, market slow bleed turned into a gusher. It was just ridiculous. We were definitely getting some downside before FOMC happened, but it was nothing special. And then the last hour and a half, last 2 hours of the market open, I mean of the market being open, Powell just rugged everything with the cut, the 25 basis point cut. So crazy stuff there. Shai, any big like thoughts from that? I know we kind of talked about FOMC last week a little bit, but like any other thoughts that you've come about since then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very worried about the near term. Not market's a forward-looking mechanism. What Powell said in the press conference last week, I don't know how much that's going to turn to reality, but if it does, there's going to be Q1 revisions on guidances. Like there's going to be that where strong dollar is not going to be good for big tech. A lot of like the big tech, like the Amazons, the Microsofts, the Googles, etc. Like their strong dollar is going to be create some kind of currency headwind. Adobe's another major one actually. Currency headwind that what Powell's comments were last week, where it's going to be higher for longer interest rates. It's not going to be 100 basis cuts next year. It's right now he's indicating 50 next year and then 50 the following year. I think that is going to create a really strong dollar, and that's going to correspond with kind of a weak currency in Europe, and like honestly, global exchange like currency in general has been pretty weak, and now the dollar is strengthening. That's not a good combination for Q1 guidances, and that is where I am slight heartburn. And also, you're seeing a lot of the small cap got wrecked after that, and you're also seeing like the market just got caught completely off guard where the pricing I forgot what the volatility that was being priced into like Powell's press conference, but it was like like year low. Like nobody expected much. Instead, we got I think insane amount of volatility. I forgot what the statistic was, but it was like one of the biggest sell-offs of the year, maybe 2 years. And
Yeah, it was like I don't know the biggest down move in one day since July or something. I
I
forget
mean,
exactly what it was, but
it's
it's
not
nasty.
good. And we slice through like with volume, we slice through a lot of key technical levels that now we're just like we're still feeling the aftershock a bit of like we didn't expect that, and we just got exposure of how vulnerable the market kind of is for any kind of catalyst that's going to be a rug pull like environment move.
Hmm.
And that's what's worrisome. Where I think people are not being less bullish, but it's still a risk on environment, but it might not be a sprint like everyone thought. It's more like maybe going to be a jog. It's going to be the same kind of Fed data driven approach. They're going to wait for more data. So I think now it's in that time of the year where good news might be bad for the market because it might prolong the rate cuts from the Fed. And that's a tricky balance because it's a really big mind fuck on, oh, this is great macro data for the economy, consumers, but the market might sell off on it because rates might not get cut. But if we get bad macro data, there might be some worry on GDP growth, labor markets getting worse, but that might be a good thing for the market because now the rate cuts might accelerate. So it's such a mind fuck,
Yeah, it
and
is weird.
it's
Especially
noisy.
if you're
It's
a
just
new
noisy.
investor trying to come in and understand that, right? And try and trade
Hmm.
off of it. It's tough because you want to be like, okay, good news. Let's go long, right? And it's just not the case sometimes. So, yeah, good stuff there. Two forgotten stocks propose a fix. DOC finalizes $7 billion in semiconductor awards. The U.S. Department of Commerce announced its awards for Samsung, Texas Instruments, and Amkor Technology under the Chip Incentives Program, totaling over 6.75 billion dollars. Jeez. Samsung plans to invest $37 billion over the next few years to ramp up its chip development and production, in the U.S. expanding its operations to Texas to include two new production facilities and a site for research development. Any thoughts on that, Shy? That's super interesting. I didn't know that happened.
I mean, I think it efficiency wise, it makes a ton of sense for us to start developing these chips domestically, stop relying solely on Taiwan or that side of the world because geopolitical tensions are going to only increase, especially in a Trump led presidency. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of these more chips incentive programs get accelerated in the next 4 years because I do think Trump wants this to be domestic. His whole platform is USA, and like keep it in house and stop relying so much with the Eastern world. And there's going to be a game of chicken between China and US for the next couple of years. There's just going to be. And the less leverage you give in China by making these kind of domestic chips that you're going to create in the US is going to be beneficial for Trump's stance in those negotiations. So I think, I don't know if it's going to come from the Doji program, like from Vivek and Elon, but I do think there's going to be an acceleration on these kind of incentive programs to create US made chips. And Trump's going to push that because it's going to go, it fits perfectly in his propaganda, not propaganda, because that's usually a bad thing, but into his incentives in his presidency.
Yeah, and then we got Volkswagen. They're agreeing to a deal to avoid German plant closures. The automaker made a deal with the IG Metal Trade Union that will avert plant closures in Germany and avoid immediate and compulsory redundancies. So the two sides will cut more than 35,000 jobs across the country, which is wild. Germany's largest automaker has struggled to find a long-term solution to slowing sales in difficult economic conditions. So gnarly stuff there. Any thoughts with that as well, Shai?
Tesla's going to kill all their competition.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, that's what Tesla to the moon, baby. Let's go. Rumble stocks surging after Tether invests 775 million. I didn't even see this chart. I want to take a look at this personally. But yeah, Tether Limited will invest in the video sharing platform Rumble as part of a strategic partnership aimed at boosting decentralization efforts. The stock surged 35% after hours trading on Friday, with the company purchasing 103.3 million shares at $7.50 per share. Company will allocate $250 million from the deal to strengthen its balance sheet and accelerate growth initiatives, while the rest will provide liquidity for existing shareholders via a tender offer. That is some good stuff for Rumble. I used to own some shares of this, but I did get rid of it personally. But that's great for them, in my opinion. I mean, that's a big investment there, and I think that could do them well. Any big thoughts there, Shai? I didn't think that was going to be happening on Friday when we closed up the market. That's for sure.
I mean, any kind of investment like that's obviously bullish for that stock because that's not just you found an underneath the couch cushion. Like that's a substantial investment that they might have visibility and stuff that we don't have, and that's just an indicator of like it's just a tailwind at the end of the day. But Rumble as a stock long term, like I don't really see a moat or a competitive advantage, but
yeah, I like the platform. I don't, but as a stock for me to hold in the long term,
like, I don't see what's so special about it.
Yeah, I don't see the big benefit at the moment. Yeah. It's hard. But I mean, love the platform. Platform's been solid. So good stuff there. PLTR, just holding strength. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but if you look at the chart, thing is just not giving up really any of these gains. We've seen the market, turn around a decent bit here. I mean, we fell like 3% one day almost. So, nice turnaround there a little bit. And then you see Palantir just holding strength, basically trying to bust these highs. So, I mean, follow the momentum, right? You see stocks like Palantir, you see stocks like Tesla, things that have strength even when the market is moving down, right? So I think following that momentum into the end of the year is the best thing we can do. Which, too, that just reminds me, guys, we're doing the show this morning, but for the rest of the week, we are not going to be on just for Christmas week. We are going to be off. So just reminder that this is going to be the show for the week, and then we will be back on next Monday and back to normal. But just wanted to remind everybody about that. But Palantir, Shai, I know things are just getting crazy, and everybody thinks they're hot and special owning this right at these prices right now. But what do you think? You think it's going to continue? I mean, we got to follow the momentum as, you got to stay dancing while the music's playing, but I feel like it's getting a little shady here.
I mean, let's take valuation out of it because I think everyone and their mother knows that valuations is through the roof. I think Palantir is experiencing a ton of visibility in the past couple weeks or just this past weekend alone that only retail audience noticed in the past couple years. And you're seeing it. I saw clips of the All In podcast where Chamath was kind of discussing they're discussing this Palantir stock and they all David Sachs there requoted some comments that like people were laughing at him when he bought Palantir at 24. But now look who's the joke. Like there's a lot of like the All In podcast is talking about it. That's a huge get because it's a huge podcast platform for FinTwit essentially or anything stock related. And they're also seeing like Elon Musk followed Palantir over the weekend on X.
Oh, did
That
he? I
core
didn't see that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that corresponds with the news story that Financial Times had that Palantir, Anduril, SpaceX, and like potentially OpenAI or other tech companies are kind of joining together to bid for the $850 billion in government contracts. And I do think this is kind of symbolic of the I mentioned when Trump got elected, the incremental increase towards defense budget isn't going to be where it was before. There's going to be an incremental increase in the defense budget in a Trump-led presidency, but it's going to go towards new age defense, not the traditional um, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin. Like it's not going to be towards those kind of names as much. It's going to be towards the new age, and that new age is Palantir. So everyone's going to be wanting to partner up with Palantir to kind of boost up their chances of getting these major billions of dollars of bids from the government. And you're seeing that right now. Like SpaceX and Palantir combining makes so much sense. And you're seeing Elon follow Palantir on X. Where there's smoke, there's fire. That's really interesting. Then you're also seeing like Bill Ackman make comments that like America's dominance in AI is the only thing that's keeping them ahead of like the pack. What's the AI king of AI right now, especially in defense? It's Palantir. It's like I think you're seeing all these like potential tailwinds that are just like a massive runway for Palantir where nobody really knows the ceiling on AI, but they know it's gonna be ridiculous, like once in a generation type of thematic. And when Palantir is the clear number one leader in it, everyone's gonna want to partner up with them. And you're seeing like them just continue catching bids and bids because every week or honestly every day there's a new tailwind or catalyst headline that's going to be pushing Palantir stock up. And valuation, even though it's like 130, 140 times 2025 free cash flow, I think that you're seeing like tea leaves right now where they're right now the streets underwriting them growing at 25% CAGR for next 2 or 3 years. I think that's violently offsides where I think they're going to be growing at 35% for the next 3 years. And that delta is a 40 to 50% disconnect from the street. And even though valuation is extended right now, that's based on technically analyst estimates. So if I'm thinking analyst estimates are 50 to 60% discounted, it's not as expensive as people anticipated. And these analysts are going to be forced to revise their targets upwards. They're forced to recalibrate from 25% CAGR to 35%. And in that process, there's going to be a ton of bullish analyst notes, and that's going to drive the stock up even more. However, that's half glass full. I think Palantir is an exceptional company. I do think there's going to be profit taking the first couple weeks of 2025 for Palantir. It's up 400% this year. There's a lot of investors who own Palantir under $10, under $20. And now they've seen their investment nearly 4 to 5x. Their cap gains are substantial because they had years to build their overweight positions. I don't think they want to pay that cap gains right now. They're going to wait till the following year. And that's in a couple weeks. So we're going to see really how I think that's going to be the first gut check for Palantir is that profit taking that's going to take place from a lot of the initial owners. And if they can withstand that, maintain the $70 floor on their price during that process, I think that's extremely telling of what the next leg is going to be in the stock.
Yeah, good stuff there, Shy. I think that's something to think about too. Like you just said, everybody, waiting to take profits into the new year. It makes sense, right? So
Mm-hmm.
maybe not a lot of people were thinking about that. BlackBerry breaks free from this downward channel. Interesting to see. Definitely getting some momentum from those lows and trying to get a break of structure here. I'm definitely interested to see if it wants to keep going here. But let's see. I'm just taking a look at my chart. Obviously, a lot of momentum going on this break. You want to see a break and retest, right? If you're playing kind of off that trend line, you want to see a big break like you're seeing with momentum here, and then some sort of constructive retest, right? That's what I would like to see at some point. Now, this thing could potentially just keep ripping for a few days before you get any sort of back test like that. But that's what I would be looking for here. Looking great. I mean, momentum's strong here. I haven't really been watching BlackBerry in the past recently, but definitely a lot of movement. I'm sure. I wonder, has GME been moving with all that, or is it just kind of BlackBerry right now? And GME's kind of been doing as well. More consolidation there. So yeah, BlackBerry, interesting stuff. Kind of in that meme category of stocks. Not a stock I trade too much, but a lot of momentum right now. So there's opportunity there, right? If you want to follow that Momo, something might be moving this week. So any thoughts on BlackBerry, Shy, or no?
Um, only thing I'm gonna drop is 10 years ago they're making $3 billion in revenue. Next year they're gonna be making 400
When's
million.
the last time you saw a BlackBerry phone?
That's the thing. Like they've
It's been a
dropped the ball.
minute.
There's a movie out there on BlackBerry. It's a credible one. One of my favorite actors from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is the star of it. I think that's a really great content to watch as a movie to show how if you kind of sit on your hands, don't really catch the next latest and greatest thing, and like not be open. Like they were
Just
just so
get
close
left in the
minded.
dust.
They got left in the dust.
Yeah.
Like they didn't innovate fast
I
enough.
think that
They
was my
didn't.
first phone, and very quickly it turned to like everybody getting iPhones, a few years
100%.
after, and it's like, okay, there's no
They.
reason to have this flip keyboard phone anymore.
I
you
know it's
know?
like not fair, but like what Microsoft's presence in the enterprise space, there's no reason it couldn't have been a duopoly with BlackBerry because BlackBerry owned businesses, enterprise space, like with those phones, like absolutely owned it. They
Yeah.
could have created so many different avenues or ecosystem around that, targeting enterprises, but they didn't. They're very consumer faced. They didn't care as much to B2B. And that was a massive mistake that they'll never ever recover from. And that I think that's a great case study to learn from as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Record outflows hit Bitcoin ETFs. Oh boy, I don't doubt it. I mean, Bitcoin's been moving. Where are we at right now? Actually, I wanted to take a look. Obviously, we said, I think things could be hot going into Christmas since market's going to be closed on Wednesday. And just, I think stocks are relatively going to be, mostly quiet this week. Crypto should be fun. But we're just kind of at the bottom of this range. We've been moving, had a little bit of a failed breakout above those NFP levels, above 100K, and right back down to the bottom of the range and just sitting here. But yeah, nice to see, a lot more movement in the Bitcoin ETFs. But record outflow is not necessarily what you'd want to see, right? You want to see inflow. Any thoughts on outflow there and why that might be happening, Shai?
Did you see, like, looking at October to December, that's wild, the inflows that it experienced. Like,
Yeah, I know, right?
so I
I mean, it
think, like,
makes sense with the prices we're at, given where we
hmm
came from. I get it. You know what I mean? But I guess you'd want to see
it's
a
it's
little more
worrisome.
like
I'm
diamond
worried.
hands from Bitcoin people. You know what I mean? And I feel like with this, you're not seeing that with record outflows on the ETF. So
It is worrisome. I would be a little worried. I want to see how this trend continues. Is this a one-off profit taking from the massive move, or is this a mass exodus that's going to occur from just wanting to raise cash and go the Warren Buffett route of just like have a massive cash pile and just you're fearful of what the next 12 months are going to be like. But
I want
I
to
don't
see
know.
the Santa rally in crypto. Let stocks be quiet. I want to see us really
125 for
yeah,
Bitcoin. Yeah.
yeah, like let's get it going. Let's wake up on New Year's Day and things are just flying. But we'll see. We'll see. Interesting stuff there on the Bitcoin ETFs for sure. We got the market opening in like what 5 minutes or so. I
So right
am.
now,
What's up?
I'm seeing quantum names running
Oh
pre-market.
God, again.
RGTI is up
Oh boy.
30%. QBTS is up 23. QBT up 13, which is not a real quantum computing company. Like please, QBT, QU, no, QUBT is not a
Yeah.
real quantum computing company. Just less than 10 years ago, they're a beverage company. And they make 300K in revenue as a quantum. You don't transition from beverage to quantum computing. It just doesn't make sense for me. And they make only 300K this year, but they're being valued at I think maybe 1.5 or $2 billion. That's the bubble. That's a massive bubble. That is a bubble. IonQ is valuation is way overextended, but it's not a bubble in my opinion because they are the best pure play quantum computing name in the market, and they deserve a premium because of that. They're the only tier one play. But there's going to be some fake names that are going to be riding this wave, and QUBT is definitely one of them. And don't like if you do your own research, but like sleep with one eye open if you own that name overnight.
Yeah, don't get caught in the bullshit. Yeah.
100%. Like there's this EV race that happened a couple years ago. Like Tesla brought a ton of spotlight in the EV industry. That resulted in a ton of it was during SPAC season, but like a ton of EV companies that went public that probably shouldn't have gone public, and it trapped a lot of investors in because everyone wanted that EV exposure, and they wanted kind of the next Tesla. When at the end of the day, there really is only one Tesla, and Rivian's probably just going to get the leftover of whatever Tesla doesn't get. I think Lucid Motors is really a dead company that's going to go private.
I do like the car.
Saudis. Yeah,
I
it's
will
a nice
say,
car, but the
but
business economics suck as an EV company. Like I think Tesla proved that. Like
it was a great trading vehicle. Like back when Lucid was hot. I remember trading shares on Lucid all the time. That thing was fun to trade on, but now it's, I mean,
well, dude, it went from 30 to 60 like consistently. Like, in a matter of days. That was wild. Now
so
it's
much fun. I mean, you could trade shares, and it was you were having a great time. It was phenomenal. You didn't even need options. I don't even know if there was options on it. Maybe I don't even remember. I wasn't trading them back then. That's for sure. So, but yeah, we got the market opening here soon. I'm just keeping an eye on. I kind of still have a bit of a bear bias on the market at the moment unless we break some key levels I have to the upside. I mean, we have a 50% retracement of last week's range, which we're just rejecting and staying under at the moment, and that's sitting at 728.75 on NQ, which if I put that on QQQ, it's basically 524, maybe give or take a little higher, 524 to 526, that area. You'd want to see strong momentum over that for any longs, in my opinion, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, I think it's going to be fairly quiet. I think we have a decent amount of volatility in the market since the past few weeks, so that might help, but I definitely think volume is going to be low. With that said, though, if we have some volatility, I think we could nail some nice trades. And again, I said, like, Thanksgiving, we thought, the 2 days that we thought were going to be the worst days were actually the best trading days. So I'm going to show up to the market, see what the market has to offer. If there's nothing, if it's not very clear for me to take trades, then we're not trading, right? But with the volatility here, I want to be watching just in case, right? If VIX wants to bump back over that 20 and get things moving again, we might have some nice moves to capture. So I'm just keeping my eye out for that, and just gonna try and survive the week pretty much. But I don't think we really have any earnings either. I think there's a whole 2 or 3 companies reporting, and nobody knows them. I don't know anything about the companies that are reporting, so nothing to worry about there. I know we got a little bit of data coming out. Consumer confidence at 10 this morning. New home sales tomorrow. Wednesday, nothing because it's Christmas. Thursday, we got jobless claims. Friday, we got wholesale inventories in the morning. Really nothing too crazy. We might see a little bit of volatility from these here and there, but I don't think it's going to be too crazy. No real follow through from these moves. So if you guys have any stocks you want us to look at, throw them in the chat. I'm happy to take a look.
I'm monitoring that doesn't make sense to me is Nubank. I mean, I get Nubank.
Wait, what's the ticker?
NU.
Oh, yeah.
There's a ton of macro headwinds that are happening in Brazil that's affecting Mercado Libre and Nubank, but specifically Nubank more than Mercado Libre because of their credit exposure. So that is one that's been going through a vicious sell-off in the past couple weeks. And it's been one of those winners of this year that I'm like, whoa, it's breaking a lot of key technical levels. And it's not cheap. It's not expensive anymore, but it's not cheap still. And valuations for fintech names, especially a bank, is really difficult. I feel like Nubank's one of those things where they're trapped between a traditional bank valuation and a super app fintech valuation, and nobody really knows. It's a gray area. So I'm watching to see that because it needs to defend $10, and the market just opened.
Timing on that was like impeccable. You said market was open, the bell just perfectly. I don't know. I don't know if they did that on the back end on purpose or that just worked out like that, but
It
that
was
was
on
perfect.
purpose. It was on purpose.
Okay. Okay.
Let's just call
I
that.
thought that was just that timed perfectly. I was like, all right, nice.
All right, so SPY's catching a little. Tesla's above 430. That's nice to see.
Yeah.
PLTR is fading from that open.
Yeah, so for me, like you know, I talked a little bit about Tesla. We have gotten a little bit of dip with the market, but nothing like what the market did. So you know, we've seen strength here. I anticipate that strength continues. But also, I like a dip into NFP levels, 389.50 to 370.80. That's like basically a demand zone for me. So if we do get down there, I would like to maybe look long out of that area. But what else we got? Coinbase. Coinbase made that down move as well last week. I think I'm interested to see if it's a little bit of a fake out just to grab these lows and then go back higher and reclaim those NFP levels. And again, if crypto is hot this week, we might see something along the lines of that happen, but not sure yet. We did get a decently strong bounce on Friday, kind of holding the bottom of this range. So definitely want to see some more upside momentum on Coinbase.
I mean, I'd get really bullish on Coinbase at 185. I don't think it'll fall there, but I'm seeing that breakout that
Yeah,
occurred in July 2023. That's an anchored average VWAP. That's my favorite metric to use for Coinbase because it's bounced at that level every time.
I like
Uh,
that too. We have a gap to fill still down there that we
yeah,
could.
so like
Yeah.
I don't know, 180, 185. I think that's an accumulation range for Coinbase. Let's see what HUD's doing today. Yeah, Robinhood. Robinhood's a different story though. Like I think Robinhood's 21 EMA on the weekly charts is kind of the clear indicator for them. So like I think it's at 38 bucks. If it pulls back to was it 30 dollars, I think that's a great buy. And then I think it's pounding the tables. Like buy would be at their 50 estimate on the weekly chart, which has been a clear support level for them. That's at 22. I don't think it's gonna go to 22, but if there's some reason, like, here's my worry about crypto. Everyone is very bullish on crypto right now, and when the
Yeah, I don't like that.
everyone sides, the boat's gonna tilt, and that's kind of where rug pulls can occur because like everyone was bullish on the market for the end of the year ahead of Powell's conference last week. Look what just happened. Volatility got introduced because nobody was pricing that in. It was a -4% day for QQQ, which is so freaking rare. Same thing might happen for crypto before the next leg. Like I don't know how vicious of a pullback it's going to be, but if it's going to be a massive one, takes Robinhood down to those levels as called out. Like that is one of the best opportunities for a trade in 2025 is if it goes back to those two levels. So that's something I'm watching as well.
Yeah, somebody in the chat was wondering how many trades a day you average. When I'm personally like day trading futures, it's about one trade a day, maybe two, but for the most part, nah. And then if I'm gonna take two back-to-back losses, I'm probably done for the day and just gonna wrap it up and take the L. But for me, I mean, it's one banger is all I need. And if I beat the market, why am I gonna chance trying to beat the market again? It just doesn't really make much sense when you look at it like that, right? The market's already so difficult to beat. If I beat it and I made great money, hit my risk to reward, my plan worked, I did what I wanted. Why am I gonna be greedy and go back and try and do the same thing? Especially when I don't know if this is the case for any other traders, but for me personally, I tend to give back money towards the back half of the day. So if I can see that data within my trading, within my stats and my analytics, why not just not trade the afternoon, right? Why not just eliminate it completely?
Mhm.
Or I see, okay, I trade horrible on Thursday mornings. Just eliminate it, right? You go back at the data and you look at it. So for me, it's I do best when it's one trade, maybe two, and even if I do take two trades, it's going to be either I took one trade and it was an L, and I take another trade and it was green and did me well, or if I do take two trades, it's on different accounts, right? I'll make money in one account, but maybe I see more opportunity to make some more money, so I'll switch accounts. I'll spread out my risk instead of making money in one account and then now risking that money I just made. No, let's lock that up, and now let's move on to a different account and maybe spread out my risk a little more. So that's kind of it's kind of how I do things for futures. For swing trading, it's a little different because I'm holding positions overnight. So I mean, most of the time I'll be in 4 to 6 different swing positions at once, and then some of them may be a few days hold, some of them might be a few weeks hold. It really depends. But yeah, for day trades, I keep it pretty minimal. I used to take a lot more, but system's a bit different now. Let's look at RCAT. Somebody from the chat, RCAT, Red Cat Holdings. Wow, this thing's been doing good. Over NFP levels. Those are sitting around $9, $8. We're at 1180 here, right at the highs. Is this all-time highs? Oh no, no, not even close. Okay, but it's these range highs. So yeah, interesting here. If you've been long, things are looking good on Red Cat Holdings. I would be hesitant to be entering anything here at these highs, and $12 for sure. But I think if you're already long, maybe looking for a breakout of this, was that 1250? I think that's valid.
Well,
But you got to see some momentum continued here and have a strong day. What's up, Shy?
no, I mean, Red Cat, I do think drone is going to be a pretty big topic in 2025. So Red Cat is going to be one of those beneficiaries off that. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm using ONDS as my drone play for 2025,
Okay,
my small cap portfolio. But Red Cat, it has that partnership with Palantir that I think got announced last week. That's
that's big.
providing
Yeah.
a lot of visibility. Like Palantir is the AI defense play in the world. So Red Cat partners up with them. That's an interesting tailwind for drone defense. However, when I looked into the Red Cat last week, they have a huge solvency risk issue. They are burning like $13 million in the past 6 months. Like let's just say seven million a quarter. What's their cash balance? $6 million. So they have a solvency risk that they're going to dilute. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to dilute shareholders sometime soon, or if they haven't already. And that's going to be nobody likes dilution. It's going to pop the bubble of any kind of rally it's in. So Red Cat's one of those names where like interesting speculative play, but like their balance sheet is a mess. The partnership is really intriguing, but like they need to do. I'd get interested if they did that secondary offering and create that 18-month cash runway for them. Right now they have a 3-month cash runway, and that's a no bueno for me.
I'm sure UMAC is kind of in a similar area. Have you looked at that one?
UMAC, what's the UMAC?
It's Unusual Machines.
Oh
It's
no.
a development stage technology company which engages in the provision of drone solutions with the focus on FPV. So another drone name to capture that, but I definitely like Red Cat Holdings a bit better, just sheerly because they have that catalyst with Palantir.
It's a big one.
Um, yeah, CHRS. Let me take a look at that CHRS. Coherus Biosciences, biotech,
Oh,
biopharmaceutical company. Let's see
trying.
here. It's been getting some upsides since that earnings on, when was that? November 6th. They had a double beat.
I mean, they have enough cash runway for 2026. So as a small cap bio, I think that's a big like thing to call out that there isn't that much of a solvency risk. Like I don't know much about the company.
Yeah, it would have to prove more for me, just sheerly on the chart, for me to want to even really look this way. But um, I mean, the run up since earnings has been great. You're now finally seeing your first kind of portion of profit taking since that $2.43 hit, and now we're just kind of chopping around all these NFP levels, and $1.50 is kind of I feel like a psychological spot. We have a gap that we almost filled. So I don't know, kind of weird here. I feel like, this run up, there's definitely been some profit takers off that run up, and now we're kind of on this dip, waiting to see, is their buyers going to step in maybe off this gap fill, or do we need to push it lower? But yeah, interesting name there. Not one I watch, but maybe keep an eye. How's this market? Where are we at?
So growth
NQ
is
trying to make
selling
highs.
off right now a bit. I
Coinbase
see.
continued downside. Not too bad, but We're still within Friday's range, but not great. Not what I'd want to see. Nvidia highs. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's a large cap tech day
Yeah.
again.
Again. How's VIX? VIX over 18 still.
VIX broke below 20. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
unfortunately. Like, if we can hold 18, I'm like, still thumbs up. But I want over 20 is just so much better.
It's gonna. Oh, Spies on. Yeah. What's interesting though is quantum computing is pulling back. Let me see. Actually, it's just IonQ, but
Yeah, IonQ definitely getting
is
hit a
pulling
little bit.
back. However, Rocket Lab is catching a major bid this morning. I'm trying to see if there's any news, especially in the last 10
You still own
minutes.
that name, right?
Oh, long term for. I own
Yeah.
both them still. I both names.
I never got
IonQ
any
and
Rocket Lab. Kind of butthurt about it. You hammered the table on that.
yeah, for a year I think under
Yeah.
$5. Nobody would listen
No,
then,
I didn't listen.
but
Full honesty.
Rocket Lab is one of those interesting names where like it's also overextended with IonQ. I trimmed
Yeah.
50% of my hold position on both names. I think 30% ago, so like it was way too early. But why did I do that? It's still a very speculative position in an early secular growth theme. There's going to be some insane pullbacks that are going to occur. I wanted to de-risk, and now both positions are purely profits. I don't have to think about it anymore. I de-risked all the risked capital I had. I took out, and I put it towards not higher conviction names, but like the less speculative names. And that's kind of how you have to go about these runners. Like both have 4 to 5x in less than a year. It does. You need to be able to somewhat profit take because there's going to be some rug pulls that occur, and also it's going to allow me to sleep better at night, knowing that I could care less. I mean, I would still bother me, but if it went to zero, which I don't think either are going to, I didn't lose on the position. I took my risk out initially, and that's a big thing that a lot of investors I think miss out on, is they let their winners continue to compound without some profit taking to de-risk it, and that's when I don't know 2021 bubbles occur. Like I think a lot of people wish they de-risked the runners ahead of that bubble bursting, and then they didn't. And now they lost everything. That's the biggest fear I have.
Yeah, it's scary stuff, man. Got to be covering at least like when you're up decent on a position, at least covering maybe that just your cost basis and a little bit of profits just to be safe about it is the smartest thing, you know. Especially I have a decent amount of fear going into this new year. Even though I know there's talk about we can continue to see strength, and I'm all for it. If we do, I'm all for it. But I have a lot more fear going like at this point in time than I did 2 months ago in this market. You know what I mean? 2 months ago, could not care less. Whereas like now going into this new year, and just I mean we're seeing volatility kind of come back recently. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little worried, but good worried. Not like oh my god we're gonna be in the shit house worried. Like oh my god we're gonna get opportunity, massive opportunity to make a ton of more money. So I'm excited for it. Not scared. That's for sure. You want to be excited for moves like that because we've done great all year. And I don't mind seeing again like too. I think it makes it easier for me with the long-term stuff cuz I don't look at it. I'm worried about my other accounts, my intraday trading accounts, like my futures, my swing trading. Like I'm worried about that. So I'm not even looking at my long-term and worried about that. So I think that makes it a lot easier for me to like when we have red in the market to just not care, not look at it,
Mhm.
and just add to positions I like. Because I'm worried about making money intraday. You know what I mean? And so that definitely gives me a little sense of peace with the long term stuff and makes me like the pullbacks. I mean, I'm not worried about it, but
I
we'll
mean,
see.
I was fearful like this time last year. I was fearful of 2024. I was like, oof. I've
Well,
never
shit
like
looked really bad last year too.
it
God.
did, and the market rallied an insane amount. I was like, oh my god, like my growth portfolio was like up 87%. I was like, I'm bearish into next year. There's no way market can go up another 25 to 30%. I was proven wrong. Luckily, long-term mentality saved me from that because I think if I was more of a short-term trader or didn't have that mindset of 5+ years out, I would have probably sold a lot of my investments and
Oh
missed out
yeah.
on this like insane year. However, back to back years, I was like, oh, okay, that surprised me. Back to back to back years, 3 straight years of market going up 20% or more. I have a difficult time digesting that. And I think
Yeah.
that's where the indices or the larger names, I don't think it's going to be like that kind of year in or next year. I think a lot of the, I don't know, the pull forward demand in semiconductor space is not going to be the same past 2 years as it's going to be next year. You're going to see, I don't know, big tech kind of get their margins hit due to currency headwinds or reinvesting into uh, using their working capital to reinvest for AI. That's not going to be a margin expansion opportunity. I think those big techs is not where you want to be. It's going to be at the stage two of AI, which is software. It's going to be in the lagging high quality small cap names. I think those are the themes of 2025 where large cap tech, I just don't see. I really don't see it. Like, who's going to be buying? I'm bringing this up again, but Apple and Microsoft, like, who's going to be buying those two names at this level? Like, what is their near term catalyst for both names? Sure, you can say Apple Intelligence is going to be a massive tailwind for Apple in 2025. I think that near term monetization is being factored into the fundamentals right now, and it hasn't come to play, but it's being factored in. Microsoft, I have no idea what's their near term catalyst. I really don't, because I think their Azure numbers are boosted due to their incentual relationship with OpenAI. I think that's going to slowly start fading. What's some other overvalued names? I mean, I think excluding Amazon from that, I think big tech is not a great place to be for 2025. I would be worried, and that's going to cause indices to go lower and lower.
Yeah. Pretty quiet morning on NQ at least. Here we're kind of just back and forth. Got a nice pop into the open, and now we're just fading right back to the overnight lows and just seeing what we want to do here. I'm not taking any action. Probably won't be on this Monday. I usually don't do too much on Mondays just because there's not a whole lot of data to go off of. But if I like, if I see something that's clear and I really like it, I'll happy to take a position. But likely will be a little size down this week. No reason to press the gas pedal down to the floor. I just, if there's a little bit of opportunity, I'm there to catch it. But I really don't anticipate too many crazy moves this week. Now seeing kind of how we're opening up. I don't know. I feel like everybody's just taking their time off and gonna enjoy Christmas. But again, with that said, it's like I feel like we've seen volatility low and volume low through events like this, where now I feel like we might see volumes low, but that volatility might still be high, which could bring some nice moves. So either way, I always just show up if the market has something worth taking. I'll be there. If not, then we sit around, watch the charts, enjoy, have some fun on the streams, and just hang out. I'd rather be watching price action anyway. Because even if it's not actionable, we can gather thoughts for what's to come next. So, but yeah, it's not looking great right now.
It's looking fadey, like really fadey. There's no bids being had right now on this kind of red.
Apple looks gross
5-minute
too.
candles.
Like Microsoft looks gross. Nvidia got a nice pop, but that's starting to come back in. As soon as that loses strength and gets under Friday's high, can really get the momentum going down.
I'm still surprised. I thought that was gonna be a very trend-setting week, but it's even Friday's like dead cat bounce we had from that vicious selling. It was fate. That was a weak dead cat bounce because it did not hold a lot of levels, even though the SPY closed above the 50-day SMA, which is huge for them. It looks like it's fading that. That's not being a support level. It's looking like a resistance now, and that's
Yeah.
where it's below 590 now. So like I think we're gonna hit 578 in the SPY, which means I think we're going down 3% more. I don't know if that's gonna happen right now because there's no volume. Everyone's taking time off, but look out for that level.
I'll match you. 575.
575.
Do that.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, I've been saying SPY's gonna hit 550. I think next year. I don't know when, but it's going to. That's my key. Like, that's where I would be loading if SPY hit 550. Like, that's where I'm loading a lot of my cash. I think it might be happening sooner than people think. I think a lot of people anticipated like, oh, Santa rally. We had our flush that occurred before the Santa rally begins, and today would have been the day one of that almost, where you start seeing that positioning occur. You saw large cap tech catch bids. you're seeing the vicious fade right now, and I just don't think
Bitcoin's
the
under
appetite's there.
94 too.
Yeah, this is
Getting rough.
exhaustion. This is signs of exhaustion, I think, in a rally, and
Yeah.
that's fine. Just raise that cash position though, because I do think any major dip is a buying opportunity because I think we're going to be going higher next year. It's not going to be a red year, but I don't know. Also, another part of the camp is like, I kind of want to see some more blood finishing the year because it's been such a strong year. It sets up next year as an easier
That's another thing. Yeah,
expectation.
I saw a Twitter post and it was after the FOMC day where we tanked it and it was like I don't know, a monthly chart of SPY. And it was just when you zoom out and you look at a monthly chart, you can't even with that big, 2.5% down day, you don't even see it on the chart. And it was just funny. Like somebody posted that and said, crazy, crazy red day today, guys. And you literally can't even, I mean, the dip looks microscopic. And it just goes to show on the higher time frames, that was nothing. It was, like we're still very much in a bull market. It's not necessarily like over just from that one day. You know what I mean? Obviously, that was a big day down, and I mean, my bias right now on the short term side of things is to the downside for sure. But it doesn't mean this market's completely over with, right? Do I think it may like? Is there a possibility that this is a short term high right now? Yeah, sure, but it doesn't mean anything for sure. So I'm just keeping that in mind. Oil's quiet as always, of course. I'm about to take oil off my watch list because I click on it every day expecting that something's going to move and expecting something exciting when it never does.
I will say hedging's becoming cheaper again. I'm looking at the VIX,
What or not VIX contracts, but
like SPY contracts for puts for June. It's
yeah.
getting on the cheaper side again. So that you see that IV drainage on those contracts. That's directly correlated with the VIX. Like the VIX went from 27, 28 to 17 or 18 right, $18. Like that's that's why I'm still not confident of in hedging because I already hedged a week or two ago and I got very lucky with my timing and I was able to capture that VIX explosion in my contracts and it sold out because of it. I would if VIX hit a 15 handle, I'm going to I think reignite my hedges for our portfolio in the new year, but we still have a ways to go for that. Yeah, I'm looking. Jeez, Palantir broke 80. It's at 79. I'm seeing spies below 590. It's what is catching a bit today? That might be the easier question. Let's see.
I don't see much.
I
I'm
don't see.
scanning.
I'm not seeing anything, which is
AMD
definitely
was actually kind of up getting a pop, but it's coming in again right here.
okay. So Broadcom is continuing their bid. That's up
There we
four
go.
percent.
There we go.
AMD's up 4%. Are semis running right now? Let me see the semi space.
I
Is
mean,
that the place to
Nvidia got a
be?
pop. AMD's actually holding stronger than Nvidia right now. Looks
Well, yeah,
like.
TSM's up 3%, Qualcomm's up 2%. So SMH is catching the bid today. It's not big tech as much. It's purely semiconductors. AMD's looking like some positionings occurring in AMD. Like again, like before the year begins, a lot of times high quality laggers catch a bid because people want to position themselves in what they believe is an oversold name that has actual quality and it's going to actually have some tailwinds in the next year. And they get in before the year begins because cap gains reasons. It's dumb, I know, but it is a real thing. And they want to get that, capture that kind of positioning before the year begins so they don't have to worry about, oh, if I sell it this time next year, it's fine. The cap gains issue it won't be a big deal. Andy looks like it might be one of that. Those candidates for that. I mean, that is actually a ton of volume. Like on the 5 minute
Yeah.
candle is like holy, it's nonstop buying as soon as it opened, and it was above average, like significantly above average. Uh, where
MongoDB been getting killed. Somebody
is
asked
it?
about it. I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm not surprised that it's had the downside it's had with the gap we have on the chart. We just filled it. So I think now that you're seeing a bounce from Friday makes sense. And maybe we see a little bit of a hold up and get some gap fill buyers here. Um, but yeah, I mean, it has gotten killed for kind of straight down for the past few weeks. but right down to a level that makes sense to me. So I think as long as you're holding this area, can be okay. But any lower than this, I wouldn't really love that on MongoDB personally.
I mean, that's my dark horse candidate for the stage two of AI. I've been adding to Mongo the past week or so, ever since that gap down. I think the reason it's sold off is obviously the commentary on the conference call that there's going to be some near-term weakness, especially in their non-Atlas revenue side of the business. And I'm investing in MongoDB as for Atlas. So anything non-Atlas related that's going to be a headwind, I view that as a buying opportunity. As just like during the Tesla days under 200, any kind of headwind that Tesla experienced from a car delivery or something in the EV side of their business, I view that as a buying opportunity because I'm investing in Tesla as an AI and software company, not an EV company. I think the same thing is kind of happening with MongoDB right now, and that's why I'm adding. And I think this is going to be like it's a 3 to 4% position for me right now. So the dark horse candidate. However, I do think 2025 will be the year of software. If that's the case, MongoDB is going to benefit substantially on their unstructured data that they have regarding their database, and like it's very transactional heavy. A lot of apps are on there, and I think that's what's causing a lot of vulnerability in their business the past 2 years. But I think that those days are behind them, and I think it's going to actually surprise a lot of people in 2025. But it's one of those things where I do have an issue with corporate governance for MongoDB. Like they're not the best C-suite communicators. CFO just left as well. Like there's a lot of headwinds right now for that name, but business I think is executing and it's going to have a niche within the database ecosystem and the post AI world. And because of that, I'm adding.
And good stuff. Maybe I'll keep it on my radar for 2025 as well, because it's not a name I personally own or have ever bought yet. But I've heard a lot of chatter about it the last 6 months or so. I think our boy Emp likes it too, so he's talked
Oh,
about it
nice. I didn't
before.
know that.
Yeah, I think he's talked about it. He also likes Mercado Libre. He loves Mercado Libre. Um, yeah, good stuff. I know we're coming into the new hour, so gonna end up wrapping things up here. But obviously, Merry Christmas to the whole crew. Again, reminder for the whole show. This is gonna be it for the week. So we're not gonna be live any other days this week, but we'll be back live next Monday, and back to normal, and then on to the new year on Wednesday there. So just a reminder for everybody, we're not gonna be live then, and just keep an eye on that. But yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you trade safe. Make sure you guys are liking the stream as well. We got 31 people in here and 1 like on the stream. Let's get that up. Actually, I might need to refresh. It might not be telling me the right likes, so it might be higher. Yeah, it's higher, but let's get that up. Get that up for the crew. Some W's in the chat, and yeah, Shy. Any last thoughts for the crew going into Christmas?
Rest up. Like we're
Yeah.
we're gonna be off this week. Like Jordan and I, like we talked about, like this is the time when you kind of feel do what you needed to do, like that you haven't been able
I'll
to
be
in the
hunting for
market.
intraday moves, but I mean, at the end of the day, my expectations are gonna be fairly low. So if we don't get a lot, I'm not sitting here tripping, right?
I mean,
We
yeah,
know
the
New
last
Year's
thing you want to
coming.
do is being burnt out when there's actual movement in the market and action. Like, don't do that. Like, you can't
The
be
amount of
burnt out.
times I've done it in the past, I've watched people do it. The market's just back and forth, horrible environment, shitty price action. You're losing all your money. You blow your accounts, and then as soon it always seems to work out like you blow your account in the next fucking day. It's just perfect. It's just easy price action. It's buy the dip, short spot price action, and it's just the worst feeling, and I don't wish it on anybody. So again, when it's not clear, like don't worry about not trading. I could care less. Like people will come into my streams sometimes and be like, "Why are you not taking moves? This and that." Like I don't care. It's like, dude, when it's clear, and that's when I'll be taking my shots. And when it's not, hands off and enjoy the time off, right? And because we're gonna get plenty of moves, and again, like it's just so much better to be confident with your trading and know, hey, like I'm trading in a good environment versus I'm guessing here and I don't really know how to manage my risk in this area, right? So just be careful, trade safe. Everybody have a great Christmas, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one, Neil.